So, you guys have entered Nala. You have made your way to the Demon Hamster. Ishtar, you have rolled very well and gotten some people very interested in these stories that you're telling about Korak. Terrask, you're kind of brooding, looking at this picture of who you now know to be your mother. You're seeing a family resemblance for sure. Dane, you find a woman in the bar that you're able to extract some information from. She tells you that the scholar Daniel is located in the Arcane District of Nala, and she refers to him as a book binder, and you'll find him at Daniel's bookbinding in the Arcane District. Ishtar, you are able to kind of woo over the crowds. In the meantime, Korak is in the middle of all this, just getting pissed drunk, and will eventually have people approach him asking him why he ran away from this fight with Yathgald. And basically you agreed to fight him, because if he's the one who's spreading these rumors that you are a coward, you are going to prove him wrong. And that is where we find ourselves presently. So what is it you guys will do with the second half of your day? It's roughly noon, about lunchtime. You've been fed by the bar owner, who, Ishtar, you're very familiar with, whose name was... What was his name again? Vor. Vorbuth. Yes. So yes, what do you guys decide to do for the second half of the day?
Well, I guess Ishtar would have sat down with food and probably just one drink at this point for lunch, and like I guess assuming we eat semi-silence. And after I finish my drink, I kind of put the cup down and say, "So, what are we doing now, guys?"
I'm gonna kill a fool.
Ishtar, thumbs up.
I have found where Daniel is located, and I am going to go find him. I would welcome a companion, so as to ensure safety in numbers.
Terrask would look over and say, I'm in search of somebody with a loose tongue, so I'm more likely to find them out on the road with you. Yeah, count me in.
Okay. Alrighty.
Now, I sort of, I've lived here for a while. I've lived here for a total of 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So how rough is the city? Is it,
I mean, certainly there are parts. There are certainly the parts that you would, I mean, maybe not Korak, but the typical person would avoid, as there are in any city. But for the most part, things aren't too bad here in Nala. The guard is present almost everywhere, and the places where they aren't present are basically the places you avoid.
Well, most people avoid.
Most people.
Okay. Would I think that they should not go off just the two of them, that maybe all of us should go together? Be a safe notion.
It's not necessarily a dangerous trek from where you're at now to the Arcane District.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily feel immediately compulsed to accompany them for fear of their safety.
Okay. So I will... Korak's realizing that if he is going to fight someone, he probably should slow down on his drinking. So he will pile some more food into him, wish them luck on finding Daniel, and that they'll know where to find him.
As you are piling the food in and you're kind of finishing up, the dwarven bartender Vorbuth will... he's kind of cleaning up, got his fist in a mug, and he says, "So are you going back to your old bookie then?"
I am assuming I know who my bookie was.
Yeah. When he mentions that, you're like, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's how that works." You basically, Korak volunteered himself to be a gladiator in the arenas. Most of the people that go to the arenas are prisoners sent to death, or people there to prove something. And you were certainly one there to prove something. The ones that are put there as punishment or for entertainment, there wasn't a whole lot of entertainment as far as the people go. It was more entertainment, watching people on death row get murdered by like tigers and stuff like that, or by other formidable gladiators. And then the other aspect of the arena was these voluntary gladiators coming in, and it was essentially kind of like MMA, where you have agents that will set up your fights and do it in a way to try to make the most money. And so you would sign on to a contract with your booking agent. You would serve so many years, and then once your contract was up, you were free to renew it or depart and go elsewhere. Korak had obviously decided to depart and go elsewhere because the arena was it stopped proving to be a challenge to him, and he basically felt like he defeated it. Like, okay, I beat the arena. What can I take on next?
Right. Okay. So, what was my bookie's name?
That's a great question. What was Korak's bookie's name?
His bookie's name was Hearn'don.
How do you spell it?
Hearndon. Hearn'don.
So like Hearn'don.
Yes.
Okay. Hearn'don. Do you mind if I put an apostrophe between the N and the D?
No problem.
Hearn'don. Got it. His name was Hearn'don. Okay, and you can remember quite easily where to find him. It isn't too far away from the Arcane District, basically where you guys are at. You came in through the... There are a few main entrances, but where you came in was kind of the backside main entrance, because you were coming down from the north, and the way Nala is situated is kind of, it's naturally fortified in these mountains, surrounded by these mountains, but its main entrance actually faces to the south west. And it has other, each entrance to Nala is quite large, but the one that you guys came in was not a main entrance. You came in through kind of the back entrance, but all roads basically from the entrances, there are roads that will lead you to basically the center of Nala, where you guys are currently located. And from there, the districts are in a circular pattern around the center of the city. So the center of the city is a bit of the common place, where you have shops, taverns, inns, things of that nature. All of the social things that happen here. And then you have different districts. There's the Arcane District. There is the Military District. There's the Tradesman District. And there is the Housing District. And then there's the slums. And the slums are kind of situated in between the housing district and the trading district. But the district you're looking for is the trading district, and that's where the arena is located. So if you can, I don't have like a map of the city or anything like that. I'm not a cartographer, but basically you guys are in the center of it. In the northwestern district, there is that is the Arcane District. Just below that is the trade district, where the arena is located, where craftsmen are located, and where people related to the craftsmen and the craftsmen themselves live. And so there's pretty nice housing there. And in fact, the only people that live in the tradesman district are the people who the tradesmen decide live there. And then below the tradesman district are the slums, a very small section of the city dedicated to the poorest people. And then next to the slums is the housing district. So you basically have this semicircle, boom, 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 boom. And Dane is going to the northwest to the Arcane District, and you are going to right below that, the Trade District.
Okay. So, okay. So we shall meet back here. Ishtar, are you going to come with me as I go see Hearn'don?
Sure, says beer. Sure.
And Terrask is just gonna go to walk past Ishtar, and he's gonna kind of lean over a little bit and just say, Ishtar, he might not be concerned, but the way these people speak of his opponent, perhaps somebody with Korak's best interests should go and see exactly what the challenge is. But my people used to say, a hunter should know his prey.
Ishtar kind of leans back, says, I was going to try and find more about this Yathgold. And it's Ishtar, that was going to be kind of if the Korak quest wasn't going to happen, that was going to be Ishtar's main thing, is who is this Yathgold person. So I'm not, I guess, telling I told Terrask that, but that was going to be his main thing to do.
Okay.
Going with Korak, I'm going to help him out with this quest, but I'm also going to try anything I can dig up on this.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So as you guys are talking, you finish talking, and you're like, yeah, you know what? I was thinking the same thing. You feel a hand tapping very roughly on your shoulder behind you.
Who was getting tapped on the shoulder?
Sorry, I froze for a second, it looks like. So, as you guys finish up your conversation, a hand taps Ishtar on the shoulder quite hard and coming from behind you.
Okay, so Ishtar kind of looks back.
Yeah, you're not turning around, you're just kind of looking back a little bit.
Yep.
As you look back, the hand that tapped you on the shoulder will turn you all the way around, and the man standing before you is not elderly, but he is definitely not young, maybe in his 50s, and he's pretty big. He's a big dude, and he just got this grumpy look on his face, and then he looks behind him and he says, "Is this him?" And as you kind of look over to see who he's talking to, you see, make a logic history test or local knowledge if you have that.
I do have local knowledge, yes. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, this is good. You don't recognize the woman standing before you, behind this old man, and you see her, and she says, she just kind of nods her head yes. She says, "That's him." And he's like, "You bastard, you broke my daughter's heart." And he goes to punch you in the face. Roll initiative.
We're all sitting around the table, right?
Yeah, you're all here.
Oh, we're all rolling initiative. Oh, my bad.
Only if you're joining the
I thought I'd already
combat.
left.
Only if you're joining the combat. Right now, Ishtar's getting punched in the face.
Oh, I'm gonna just wait.
18.
I'm at 11.
Okay, so this guy got a jump on you with his attack, so he's going to roll his melee attack first. After that,
18?
well, no, I gave him access to the ambush phase. I'm
Okay.
gonna let him get a punch in on Ishtar because it was kind of unexpected.
I was gonna try to catch the fist before it hit him.
Actually, I'd probably be more likely to do that.
Yeah, you know, his initiative was below yours, but above Ishtar's.
I rolled 14 on initiative. I'm gonna go ahead and join in.
Yeah, he rolled a 15. Ishtar got an 11. Korak, you got 18. Let's see.
I mean, I'm fine with you.
9 for me.
Okay. Let me think. Yeah, he is gonna get. He's gonna get that first opportunity to just get a punch in. Let's see what he gets here. It's 12, 15, 19, 21 on his melee attack.
Oh yeah.
With a
Wow.
he rolled really well actually. So then his damage to you, Ishtar, is 5 damage total with a fist attack. Now we enter initiative, and first up is Korak. So you see him basically sucker punch Ishtar. He's like, "You bastard! You broke my daughter's heart," and he just.
I guess soak doesn't count on that, does it? Probably not if it was in the face. No.
No, that's straight just damage to the old kisser.
Okay, so Korak will just sort of stand up, and I'm assuming he towers over this guy.
Oh yeah, this guy's maybe 5'5".
And I will basically state you will not do that again. And that will be intimidation.
Yes, it will. Charisma, intimidation.
I guess this starts more like.
And she's crying in the background. She's like, he doesn't even remember who I am.
Okay. Damn.
Sounds like your star.
Only 12.
He appears, he sees you, and he's like, "You're Korak the coward. I ain't afraid of you."
Okay.
Orc.
I've had enough of Korak the coward. So, okay, my unarmed combat. I'm not gonna pull a spear on this guy.
No, you actually know that would get the guard called on you guys.
Well, we can take the guard.
So 15.
That's a hit.
Okay. And that is 9, 12 damage.
Damn. Yeah, you sock him, and he loses his footing, and he almost falls over, and he's like, "Oh!" And he's got just a big fat lip, a bloody nose, and he says, "Hold on, let me roll a." Let's see, it'd be a
Agility save.
no,
Morale.
willpower. Yeah, willpower. Yeah, he's basically gonna hold his hand, and he says, "Why you standing up for him anyway?"
He's my friend, and he doesn't call me a coward.
And at that, Ishtar stands up and goes, "Yeah."
And he just kind of scowls at you, and he he looks back to his daughter, and his daughter is just kind of really upset. She's a 20-something, damsel. Not bad looking, but not like drop dead gorgeous. She's a commoner, and she would make a good wife to a good person. And unfortunately for her, Ishtar is not a good person. And so he kind of begins to shuffle his way out, and he points his finger at Ishtar and he says, "You bastard, you broke my daughter's heart." And she's just kind of, "I loved you, Ishtar." He says, "Come on, Maria, let's go." And then as soon as he says her name, you remember who she is. And yeah, you were really drunk. You were just like out of it, and that was one you actually felt kind of bad about, because you kind of left in the middle of the night, and you'd forgotten your pants, and it was just a mess.
Good old Ishtar.
Yeah, so yeah, so you guys are going to wind up parting ways here.
Oh, we never split the party.
Oh no, that's fine. I think I can handle it. So we'll shift over to Dane and Terrask. You guys begin to make your way over to the Arcane District. And after a little bit of searching, you find the sign that the woman in the bar was talking about. It says Daniel's Bookbindings. And you make your way in. And, oh, get back here. And yes, the study it's a small library of sorts. There are many books there that are struggling to find real estate because he's clearly disorganized. And as you enter in, you hear him, and you kind of see him in the back. He's kind of shrouded by a bookshelf, and he says, he motions you forward. You see his hand. He's like, yes, come in.
Terrask would kind of look to Dane to lead on this one, kind of his mission.
Okay. I say, feel free to browse, investigate. I need you to speak with him on a private matter, but I will return shortly. So I then go to Daniel. I say, "Greetings, Daniel. My master sent me to speak with you. He told me that you had much you could give me."
Yeah, he's really busy with something right now. He's rolling out a piece of leather that he is just recently cut, and he appears to be preparing some yarn next to him to start stitching some things together. And you walk closer to him, and he's a middle-aged human man. He's got graying, dirty blonde hair and fine spectacles. He has a leather tunic and slacks, kind of like a traditional cobbler would look. And yes, and he says, "Yes, I'm Daniel." And then you say your piece, and he puts down what he's doing, and he says, "You say your master?" And he looks you up and down, and he says, "Are you a student of someone?"
I give my master's. I say I'm a student of. I give my master's name. I'm told.
He says,
I was trained in Palais.
He says, "Oh, that's fantastic to hear. How is he doing? I hope he's well."
Sadly, he is now gone. He came to me in a vision several nights ago. Before he was killed, he told me that there would be something left to me, and showed me a ring that I'd never seen on him before, showing the signet of a white flame. And then I pull out my bag.
As soon as you say that, he looks around and he says, shh. He says, not here, not here. And he says, is that your friend you brought with you?
Yes, I trust him.
Go get him. Bring him here.
Okay. And so I wave him in.
Yeah, I would follow Dane's call.
So, Rory, did you want Terrask to? He would have had a moment to peruse around. Did you want to roll a perception check and see what he finds?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
Okay, so my perception is 3d6, and I have.
While you're getting ready to do that, I
have perception, so it's another d6.
I inform you what you're about to learn. We will have to share with the rest of the party. Please be aware that it was not my intention to keep any of this a secret from you. I intended to find it out and then pass it along after the fact, once I knew what was involved. So he did his role, so I'll let him give his result.
Yeah, what'd you get, Rory?
I got a 15.
Okay. Yeah, you find a book of particular interest to you that appears to be not finished being bound yet, but it is a book on druidic practices, and there appears to be some, not much, it's more about the history of druidic practices, but it does have example incantations of what some druidic spells might look like in particular regions of of Isteran. And you see of particular mention the tribe that was below you.
Okay, right, I remember them.
Yeah, the Pikawas.
Yes, they were not elves, right? They were something else?
They were actually a bit of a mixture. They had most prominently, funnily enough, small folk.
Yeah, yep, that's what I remembered. Yeah. Piccolo? Let me write that down.
It's Pikawas. It's Pikwas. And they uninventively named themselves after the river that flows through that part of the continent.
Okay, so yeah, so I would definitely see that, and I would just think, like, this is a region that I recognize. So, but he's not a thief, so he would start to kind of try to read, but assuming this is happening just before he's getting called by Dane, he wouldn't be able to get very far, and he would put it back on the shelf.
Yeah, you had enough time to flip through a few pages and see some interesting things. And then, yes, Dane motions for you to join them over there. And as you approach, you see this scholar, this middle-aged man, appear to have taken a very hushed tone after Dane mentioned, you don't know what Dane said to him, but he appears to be acting very shady as you approach.
So I start walking up, and I'm kind of looking at him, and I'm just keeping... I am as alert as a wood elf, essentially ranger tracker, can be while looking at one person.
Yeah, when you see him, your kind of general take on the situation is you guys are tucked away in a little study in the middle of this very large arcane district in Nala, and your sense of it was already that, like, you're pretty isolated from prying eyes and ears, and for him to be acting this way would kind of betray that sense that you had of not necessarily safety, but of shielding from prying. And he's acting like and he says, yes, come. And as you, he looks back over to Dane as you get closer, and he says, you trust him? You said yes?
Yes. Yes, I do.
He kind of does this sort of thing, and he's like, we can't talk about this here. Follow me. And when he says that, he shuffles behind his desk and goes into the back, where he will reach behind somewhere and press something that you can't see, and a wall slides up, and he begins to make his way down some stairs through this secret wall. Do you both follow?
Yes. What's the light like?
It's the bookshop itself is lit, and it's lit enough to where you can see, and it's lit through natural light. And there are some burnt wax candles that he would light if it got dark, but about a quarter of the stairway is lit enough for you to make your way down.
Yeah, so then I would follow. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I would have been wary about traps. Like, I don't want to walk somewhere where I can't see, but if I could see, I'm fine. Yeah,
he'll lead you down there, and when you both are in, he will shut that gate, the sliding wall, and as soon as he does, all goes completely black. But a moment later, he snaps his fingers, and down the set of stairs, these torches just come to life, and you immediately notice the stairs go down much further than you had anticipated, and he will begin to lead you down there. Korak and Ishtar, you guys begin to make your way towards the trade district. You split off from, you basically were going in the same direction as Terrask and Dane at first, and then you guys kind of said adios. You split off, and you have begun making your way towards the trade district. When you arrive, there is much bustle and everything, and you see word of Korak's arrival has traveled like wildfire in this place, and people are whispering to themselves, and they say that's him. And you can tell they're talking about you, and
like look at Dane real quick. Like, do we have a second, like, going down the stairs?
Oh yeah, sure.
I think Terrask would look at Dane, and he just maybe looks a little bit more worried than he usually does, and he's just kind of like, do you remember the basilisk, weirdo? This doesn't seem much better. And just kind of looks to see if Dane's getting any, he kind of senses these sort of evil things. I just kind of am looking to Dane, just kind of make sure his light bulb isn't going off.
Well, you would see if the light bulb was going off, in the sense that I am walking with my quarterstaff, and that's what lights up. And it lights up, I look at it and say, there's no spirits here yet. We're fine. But we will stay on alert.
I'd kind of be like, all right, as long as there's no weird, freaky lizards.
You kind of, as I say it, you kind of see my fist glow, which you've seen happen in the past. It kind of glows and then fades away.
There are some vendors that approach you guys, trying to hawk their things on you. They're peddling coffee beans and hops and all of that sort of thing as you guys begin to make your way through the trade district. Where you are headed is the part of the trade district where the trainers and bookies for the gladiator arena reside. And when you reach it, Korak, it has appeared to have changed quite a bit since you left. Where once these buildings that were donned with many of your logos and portraits and things of that nature have now been replaced by this Yathgald figure. And there are these very modest-sized sandstone-looking buildings that you come up to, and rather than proper doors, the entrance has kind of a beaded curtain, and then you make your way through the beaded curtain to the real door. So it's kind of like they have a dirt porch. Yeah, and then you make your way into the actual place. And when you make your way in, it's a very bland kind of place. There's not much there. There's basically a large wooden desk. There's a woman sitting there, a high elf woman, and behind her is a wall with a door. It looks very much like a bank kind of situation here. And she sees you guys come in, and she sees Korak, and she's like, she takes her glasses off. She's squeaky, puts them back on. She's like, and she gets up and she kind of adjusts her clothes and walks in the back, out of sight.
Okay.
So as we walk in, she gets up and walks out.
Yeah.
Okay, and no one else is there.
No.
I'm assuming she's going to get Hearn'don.
That would be what you were assuming. When she comes back out, she sits down and she and she clasps her hands and she puts them on the shelf, and this woman, while not very good looking, she's not bad looking, she just isn't the kind of woman, kind of high elf woman that would necessarily garner a lot of male attention. She's got these very kind of pointy glasses and long high elf ears, and she's quite tall. She appears to, at your best guess, to be about 6'2", and very thin. And she takes a very professional looking tone, and she says, "How can I help you today?"
I'm here to see Hearn'don.
She says, "He's not here. Those of us that work for him can arrange an appointment if you wish to see him."
I'd like to see him now.
I'm
sure you know who I am.
Are you like trying to persuade, intimidate, anything like that?
I'll go for a little intimidation.
Yeah. Why don't you roll an intimidate for me? As opposed to actually losing 1d6, and I thought about that too when I was taking the dogs out. When you rolled initiative, Korak, you actually would have lost a d6 because you were intoxicated.
Okay.
Presently, you're working off some of that alcohol, but it's still going to affect you. But rather than making it worse, it actually makes it better. So you'll in this case, because your demeanor is kind of intoxicated, you'll actually come off a little bit more intimidating in this circumstance.
Okay. All right, so that is 20.
Yes, and she is visibly shaken by. She's like, "Yes, I know who you are, and I know you want to see Hearn'don now, and I will do all that I can to get him to you. He's not here right now, so I have to go call for him. How long can you wait?"
At that, Ishtar walks up, puts a couple gold coins down on the counter, says, "Hello there, beautiful. Is there any way that we could speed this up and make it happen a lot quicker?" And he's going for obviously like the flirtation persuade route.
Go ahead, you can roll that for me.
Does can I use bluffing or actually no, I had the flirtation, so
You've got all the right skills.
oh yeah. I'll put a luck die in. Oh wow, okay. 6, 11, 16. Oh boy. 23.
Korak, what did you roll on your intimidation?
20.
So as Ishtar, you kind of, I imagine Korak is there, and you're like, I think you know who I am and who I'm looking for, and then Ishtar, this creeper, just kind of like slides in behind you. And he's like, "Hey, can we make this go a little faster?" And he kind of slides some coins on there, and then she kind of like she has a hard time taking her eyes off of Korak, and then she looks at Ishtar, and she's like. And she kind of straightens herself up. She's like, I think she'll take the coins. I think I can work with you. And she kind of looks back at Korak and she's like, you're just gonna have to give me a second. He's really not here. I'll go as fast as I can. And she'll take the coins and
Very nice to say thank you.
yes, and she'll say, just give me 10 minutes. And she walks in the back.
So I as we were walking up, you said that a lot of the posters and things around here had changed, and now did it show a picture or a drawing of Yathgold?
Yes, Yathgold. It's spelled Jathgald. And yes, you see many portraits of him actually in this very establishment. On the inside here, there are a few portraits of him. Clearly,
Ogre.
no,
Okay.
no, he is a human, young human, and you wager that by looking at his portrait, he couldn't be any older than 19 or 20 years old. And
I think I would be afraid of a human.
And he is very muscular, very fit, and clearly whoever did these portraits was paid handsomely, because they are really good portraits. Like, they almost look like photographs. And he's chiseled just right. He's handsome. He's a good-looking guy. It's like everything you would want in a good-looking fighter, this guy has. And your poster is no longer there, but his is.
Hearn'don, you're disappointing me.
Now is the receptionist, does she like leave the room? Is she visible?
She's no longer visible. However, Korak, you would know that this establishment that you're in doesn't necessarily belong to Hearn'don. It belongs to the council that runs the arena. And so all of the bookies will function from this place. And so if you want to speak with if you want to sign on to a bookie, this is the first place that you come. If you want to find one, this is where you come to.
Okay, so it's not necessarily that Hearn'don is repping him.
Exactly. Yeah. And this guy is among many other that you see here. However, his stands out. And you feel it might be because he's been saying some of the crap talk he's been saying. Maybe just an inkling on Korak's part. But yeah, his portraits are clearly a step above the rest.
Is there any like blank paper on the desk or anything?
Yes, there are some sign-in sheets that have a few names scrawled on them.
So I take one that hasn't been filled out yet, like underneath.
Yep.
Flip it over to the blank side, and I write Korak is the best, and I put it on top of one of the pictures of Yathgold.
Awesome.
So I wait impatiently, sort of pacing back and forth, wanting to get this
Okay.
going.
Yeah.
It also, I figure, will help burn off some of the alcohol too if I continue to move.
So, as you guys continue to wait for what's going on, we shift the camera back over to Terrask and Dane, and you guys have made your way down this stairway all the way. What seemed like forever. You guys went down this stairway. It was like every step you could hear echoing through this long chamber. And when you finally reach the bottom, you find yourself in a actually larger space than the library itself, or I guess I should say the storefront. And he will he'll gesture for you guys to have a seat at a table that is set up, a table and chairs. It's a nice round wooden table that has a few pieces of bread, and he lights a candle on the center of the table and everything. It illuminates the room that you guys are in, and there are a few books here and there, but you see he goes into another small room where he grabs a set of robes, and he grabs a few other things, and these robes he slings over his arm, and he has a few other things in his hand, and he comes walking out. He's still in his tunic and his slacks, and he will sidle up kind of beside you guys, close, awkwardly close. He's like, and he kind of lays the robe down, and the robe itself is a grayish white color, more gray than white, and you can see that there is something on it that is pure white. You're not quite sure what it is, some symbol of some sort. And he'll sidle up next to you guys, and he will, without saying a word, place a ring in front of the both of you. Not a ring each, just one ring. And he'll look at...
I'll look at the ring.
Yeah, he'll look at you, and then he'll watch you, like, very intensely look at the ring. And he says, "Is that the ring he showed you?" And when you look at it, it is indeed exactly the same type ring that your mentor had shown you, with the white flame emblazoned on it.
I tell him, yes, it is.
Then he'll look over to Terrask, and he'll say, "I don't know how you've been drug into this with your friend. However, I can assure you that the things you're about to learn here will forever change your life." Are you all right with that?
Don't be so sure that he's the one dragging me. I have some questions of my own to be answered, and before the end of this, he might regret meeting me.
Yes, he maintains a very stern look on his face, and he says, "I sense," and he kind of looks off to the...
Remember that I can sense magic within 60 feet.
Yeah, you're not getting any sense of anything magical happening here or anything like that. If you want to get a sense of if he is capable of producing magic, then you can make a roll for me. That would just be a logic. If you have magic as a skill, that would apply. Religion.
Divination. Divination.
That's going to be a spell that you would cast. If you have magic as a secret, you could divine magic.
I don't have magic. I have religion, though.
That's not going to apply in this particular case. You could attempt to identify any religious... I guess I spoke too soon. You could apply religion to this and see what you find out in regards to religion.
Okay. 46.
Is this with your religion?
Yes.
Okay.
And 11. probably don't get much.
No, indeed you don't. Without any knowledge of what this white flame means or anything else, you're unable to ascertain exactly it's a bit of a mystery down here, and it's kind of creeping you out. Anything that's of an arcane nature that is unknown to you is it's going to make you uneasy. And he'll look back and he'll take the both of you in, and he'll say, I sense that you two aren't the only ones in your traveling band. I get a sense of urgency about you, that you are to return, and you might possibly have other companions. And when he says that, your sense magic exploit comes into play, and you do kind of like Spidey sense. You get this feeling that he is divining something about you guys.
Okay.
Terrask just says, no, it's just the two of us.
Why don't you make a charisma bluffing check for that?
Okay, that won't go well. That is.
I was actually going to whisper to him.
He's lying.
I was going to whisper to Terrask, like, I'm whispering him as low as I possibly can, say,
I actually didn't hear you. So
Yeah,
good job.
I whispered him as low as I possibly can, to where as possibly only he could hear it. Pretty saying, "Don't even try." He knows.
Well, I mean, he already, he gave it a shot. I only have 2d6 for a charisma roll, so I get an 8.
Yes. And he'll be like, what would he do? He would pay you no attention, because when he pays you no attention, you realize that Dane is right in this, that he clearly just, he knows better than to even pay you any creed. So he says, before I reveal any more information to you, I need to know that either A, you will not be returning to your other companions, and you plan on continuing forward from here on out without them, or that you bring them here so that they too can be a part of what is about to happen. Because I can assure you, things will never be the same, neither for your lives nor the lives of anyone else in Nala, or all of Isteran, for that matter. And then I need to make a roll for him. What's your mental defense, Russell? Dane?
My mental defense is a 14.
Okay, your sense magic goes off again, and you get the feeling that he is casting a spell on you. And when he does, he perks up and he looks at you and he says, there's something else you're hiding. And he'll get really close to you and he says, he gave you something. What was it? And then we'll shift back over. We'll shift back over to.
I was going to say, you will find out when I bring my compatriots back.
Yes. Speaking of your compatriots, we go back to them, and the woman finally comes back, and her face is all flush, and she's disheveled. She's out of sorts, and she sits down and she says, "Well." And she looks expressly at Ishtar. And then she notices the sign on the wall. It says, what's it say? Korak is awesome?
Was Korak rules or Korak is awesome? One of the two, yeah. And Ishtar has a completely blank face, too.
I thought I wrote it down.
Yeah, it was either Korak is awesome or Korak rules. one of the two.
Korak is the best.
Or Korak. Oh, maybe it's that Korak is the best.
Oh yeah, Korak is the best, right there. Yeah, I gotta put that in the right spot. So, anyways, yeah.
Ishtar has a blank face, like.
So she looks at that and she kind of grimaces. She's like, and she'll look expressly at Ishtar and she says, "He's on his way. He'll be here soon." And then before she can even finish her sentence, the door behind her that she had gently closed just bursts wide open, and in steps Hearn'don. And Korak, you recognize him immediately. He is a dark-skinned human, about 6 feet tall, quite muscular, bald head, always smiles. And you remember Hearn'don as being just this very charismatic fellow. And he comes in and he has the biggest grimace on his face. He, like, I don't know how much more to emote, like, disgust and disappointment. It's just like, you know, and he looks at you and he says, you, and he keeps saying it until he gets right up into your face. He comes around the desk and he comes right over to you, and he puts his finger on your chest and he says, "You have some explaining to do." And then he'll give you a big hug.
Okay.
And then he'll push you away like he's mad, and he says, "Where have you been?"
What? Troll Mountain? No, what are they called?
The Troll Claw.
Troll Claw Mountains and the swamp behind that. And then I came back.
Clearly.
I missed your ugly face.
He says, "I wish I could say the same about you."
So
well, actually, I could say the same about you because you've cost me a lot of money. I wish you were here.
Who is this Yathgald or whatever spreading nasty rumors about me?
And he looks at the poster where Yathgald was, and he sees Korak is awesome, and he's like, and he's like, "That's the little fairy that says you ran away from his fight."
I don't even know who he is.
I just told you he's a fairy.
Okay.
And then he looks behind you and he says, "Good gods, what is this?" And he like caresses your spear like he's getting some kind of pleasure out of looking at it. He's like, oh, this is a work of art. Where'd you get this?"
Well, first I killed the basilisk and took its teeth. Then
He said, no, where'd you get this? Basilisks don't have teeth this big.
this one did.
And he's kind of like poking it, and he gets a prick on his finger.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. It's very sharp.
Yes, well.
Poison damage.
He's like, yes, well. Who's the sweet talker over there? And when he does that, and he does that to Ishtar, the high elf behind the counter kind of adjusts herself a little bit.
That's my personal bard, Ishtar.
And he says,
Ishtar takes like a step forward and goes, "Ishtar the brave."
he says, Ishtar. We'll need you around here. Korak, he's got a reputation to build back up again.
Now, does Ishtar know this character?
Make a local knowledge test. It would be not charisma, logic.
11.
You've heard of him. Never met him. Never even seen him, really. But you've heard of him.
Okay, so I know his name. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, when he says that he needs me, I say, you should have been at the demon hamster earlier. You would have seen. I am doing that job.
He says, the demon hamster? I don't go to slums like that.
Ishtar just goes, you don't know what you're missing.
Now the cruel nugget. You got to try that? Cruel nugget. Yeah.
That's the one I got chased out of, I think. I remember it was one of the 4. And one of the ones I had gone into, and I either got chased out or just hated the place. I think it was that one.
Yeah, and that's the one he's espousing as much better than the demon hamster. And he says, he looks back over to Korak and he says, Yathgald, that fairy boy, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to get himself killed.
I know he is, and I'm going to do it for him.
And he says, oh, Korak, oh, you're going to make a name for yourself again.
I left the arena. I will come back for this one to prove that I will always be the best.
He says, yes, I will get to work on getting the fight set up immediately. When will you be ready to fight?
How about tomorrow?
He gives that big grimace again. He's like, you. Yes, you. And he just walks back behind, and he, unless there's anything else you're going to say to him before he leaves, he walks and goes back through the door behind the counter.
What would have been like my cut or whatever?
Typically the contract you had with Hearn'don was that it was roughly a 60-40 contract. You would get 60% of the earnings and he would get 40.
Okay. Same terms as before?
Yeah, he stops and looks at you and he says, oh yeah, same as before.
Okay.
He says, haha, yes, oh, and he's just talking to himself as he goes through the back door and makes his way, presumably to draw up a contract and get you to sign it. And indeed, a few minutes pass and he comes back out and he says, haha, and he's got this parchment and he slams it down on the table and he says, you sign right there. Same deal.
Okay, I look at it. Does it state just for the one fight? I don't want to get stuck in a long-term contract.
He says, he sees you reading over it and he says, my friend, when have I ever done anything wrong? And then when you actually think about it, you think of the times that he has duped you. And he's just kind of sitting here like...
Yeah. So I continue to read.
Yeah. And as
you're
he
looking for the Goldberg deal, and you end up getting the Brock Lesnar deal.
Yeah, as you look over it, and you continue to read it, he says, "There's no need to look at the details." And then you see the spot where, yes, it was going to rope you in for another 6 months, and he's like, "You're only coming back to me for one fight."
One fight. I'm moving on.
No.
I have new friends.
Korak.
How much are you going to make from this? Think of that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll be making more than 40. The contract will still be 60-40, but I get the 60. you get the 40.
Mm,
For a fight like this, 40 will be more than you made in any one fight you had before. People, they're going to pay big to see this one. And he smiles, and you can see a gold tooth there that wasn't there before the last time you saw him.
So let me ask you, is he any good, or does he just have a big mouth?
And he'll kind of sit down on the chair. And meanwhile, while you two are talking, the high elf will have rolled her chair over towards Ishtar. She says, "So, I was just wondering where you're staying, and I see you sing, and I would like to hear you sing sometime."
Says, well, I'm not currently. Wait, actually, out of character, are we? We don't really have like a home base, do we?
You don't even know what you're saying. Nope.
So I tell her.
I say we didn't secure rooms at the Angry Beaver.
No, the demon hamster had was just a bar. It was not an inn or B&B of any type.
All right, so Ishtar says.
Then my question is still relevant.
Ishtar's gonna like just make up a random inn, like I am staying at the Scratching Imp.
She's like, "Oh, I haven't heard of that one."
Oh, it's brand new in the trade district. It's up and coming. It's near the arena.
Well, when are you playing? When can I come see you?
Oh, later today I have to go work out the details. I'm gonna be setting up my contract to be the personal entertainer there.
Just,
As I finish that sentence, I gotta go off. So, on another thing, who is this Yathgar? And this is as Korak and the guy are talking, right?
yeah.
Okay, so then I ask her like, so on another topic, who is this Yathgar?
She says, "Oh, you mean Yathgald?" Well, it seemed as soon as Korak left, he just came out of nowhere, and I guess he's an alright fighter. I don't know, I've watched him a few times, and I don't really like to watch the fighters, usually. But everybody had made such a fuss about Yathgald that I guess I had to watch a few times. I mean, I've seen some fights before, but I don't know. It's different. A lot of times, you see big fights, like with Korak, you know. He was big. But a lot of the people that he fights, they're really good warriors too. But this one, it seems like he's an okay fighter, but all the other fighters that he fights somehow just aren't that good. And I don't really understand. It seems like there are some fighters there who I've seen fight before that fought a lot better than the time they fought with Yathgald. I don't know. It's just weird. Maybe it's because I don't watch a lot of fights.
Now, do you know who sets up all these fights?
She says, "Oh, yes, the various bookers. That's part of what we do here."
Do you know who is Yathgald's bookie?
She says, she kind of gives you this devilish look. She's like, "I can't tell you that."
And I mark some more down. I pull out, let's say, 5 more gold, and I say, "Oh yes, you can, honey." And I slide the 5 gold over.
She looks at it, and then she kind of looks up at you, and she's like, "I'll tell you what." And she pushes the gold back towards you, and she says, "When I visit you at the... What was it? The what?
Scratching Imp.
The Scratching Imp. When I visit you at the Scratching Imp, I want to hear a song that you wrote just for me. Deal?"
Deal.
Okay. I actually, full disclosure, I don't have a name for Yathgald's bookie, so let me just get one really quick, and she will give it to you. But yes, she will, she'll lean in closely, and look around so that nobody's here and listening, and she'll give you the name, and it is not Alanis. Muriel. It's Mariel. Muriel. She says,
Muriel?
No. You can pronounce it either way. It's a woman's name. That's immediately apparent to you. It's Meriel. Muriel. However you want to pronounce it.
That's how you spell it again. Meriel. Muriel. Okay.
Yeah. She says, well, if I get my song, I'll tell you the name. The name is Muriel Olajor. And the Olajor is Olojor. Olajor. She says, but you didn't hear that from me. And I don't know where you can find her.
As she says that, I actually lean in and says, I'll actually be trying to play more to the demon hamster first.
She says, she kind of looks at you, she's like, the demon hamster? Why would you play there? That's a slum.
I just whisper, they pay better. They pay better.
She's like, okay. She seems a little less impressed with you right now. After you say that, she's just kind of like, eh.
Gave me the truth, I might as well be a little nicer.
She's like, well, I look forward to hearing my song. And she'll kind of, roll her chair away.
She starts sliding. I ask her, what is your name? 'Cause I don't think we called her name.
You've not caught her name. She says, oh, silly me. My name is Kenya.
Kenya, okay.
Yes, like Kenya. I would prefer it actually pronounced to be Kenya. It'd be Kenia, not Kenya. It's Kenya.
Okay.
Yes. So when you write your song about me, make sure, of course, you include my name.
Of course.
It says, and it's Kenya with an I.
Ah, good point.
And
He's not writing anything.
he's like, yes, hold on, yes, let me. And Korak and what was his name? I'm terrible with names. Hearn'don, thank you. You guys were discussing the terms of your arrangement, right?
Well, that, and I had asked how good this guy was.
Yeah. And he'll say, he's no match for you, Korak. You're the best. You're the best.
Well, I know that. I'll take 40. You can have the 60 this time.
He says,
so I can show this fool where he stands.
Says, I knew you would. And he quickly redraws another contract, and you are able to finalize it and everything. And he says, where are you staying so I can tell you whether he basically says he wants to know where you're staying so that if something happens to where this fight can't happen tomorrow at the time that you've agreed, then he wants to be able to contact you to schedule a new time.
Okay. We actually haven't secured rooms yet.
He says, oh, just like you, Korak. Coming in and wanting to kick some ass. That's my Korak. Let me find you a place. And he'll give you the name of a place to go stay at that he prefers, and he actually has put you up in before. Okay. And it's called the Rise and Grind Lunchroom.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate it. I will meet my friends and go there later today.
Says he writes up a quick little card, basically for you to give to the proprietor of the place, and you've done this before, so yeah, you know that this is it's a pretty nice place, and they'll put you up fairly comfortably. You'll be able to get a good rest there. There's a outdoor area where you can train and warm up and do your thing. And you know from being in the arenas and in the whole, culture of this, that each of the bookies has basically their own hotel or inn that they own, or they don't own, but they use exclusively to put up their gladiators.
Right.
And the gladiators of each bookie usually will train together, become somewhat of friends, not too friendly, because sometimes gladiators do get exchanged between bookies. And yeah, you've been to the Rise and Grind many times. In fact, you once in your younger years might have called it a kind of a surrogate home.
Okay.
So then, oh, go ahead.
I will sign off on the contract and say, let's go back and meet our friends.
Ishtar, did you want to talk to Korak before we shift scenes?
Yes, but after we get outside the bookie's office.
Okay.
I turn to Korak and says, Korak, I got the name of the bookie for this. Was it Yathgar?
Oh,
Yeah,
crud.
Gold.
Yathgold?
Got gold.
Okay, I turn to Korak. I say, I got the bookie for Yathgold. It's a Muriel Olajar. You know who that is?
Does Korak recognize the name?
You do.
Okay.
You knew crud, I don't think I wrote it down. The name there. Well, what was the name again? Caleb?
Muriel.
That's right. Muriel Olajar. Muriel Olajar. Yeah.
Still
Yes.
waiting for a name with an L.
Rival bookie. The name is familiar to you, Korak. You don't know much about her. She is a bookie, like, you know quite a bit about some of the other bookies, because they will talk shit about each other, basically, and they all have dirt on each other. Former marriages, bad bookie practices, maybe that one time that one guy cheated at poker and stuff like that. But Muriel has always been apart from all of that. She's always been kind of shrouded in this untouchable kind of way. And so there isn't a whole lot that you know about her. You do know that she is pretty ruthless when it comes to the quality of the gladiators that she hires. To a fault, actually, that she would actually prefer to go bankrupt before hiring a gladiator that would not perform well in the arena. And so when fighting against you always got this sixth sense that when you were fighting a really tough gladiator, that this was one of Muriel's gladiators.
Okay, so this just sort of turned a little sour.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But I mean, you've been assured by Hearn'don that this guy, You've got this guy's got nothing on you, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ishtar says I kind of want to do some digging on her first. I don't, not tonight, but
Well, I know of her, and she does have some of the best gladiators. So this will be interesting to see what happens.
Then we shift back over to, actually, we're going to fast forward just a little bit to where you all meet back together again. Because basically we're at that point where you're leaving the bookies, you guys are leaving the bookbinders, with intentions to meet back up again. And you do indeed. The four of you are together again in the central district. And you all have much to tell. However, before you get a chance, a loud shriek is heard from the gate through which you guys came. You can hear a lot of commotion coming from that direction. And at first, what you hear is kind of these royal trumpetings, like dun 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 dun, dun. But then you hear ah! and it seems like there's just utter chaos coming from that direction that you guys just came in, and there are people running towards you, and then soon there are people running past you.
Okay.
Ding ding.
Yeah, I just heard that too.
so it's trumpets we hear.
Yeah, at first, yeah, but then that gives way to just kind of blood-curdled screams. And as these people run past, you begin to see, I don't know how long you all want to stay here before either running the direction the people are running or going towards what's coming.
Right. Well, you know where Korak's headed.
And as...
Chase.
What's that?
And I said, give chase.
Yeah, as people begin keep running by, there are it begins to thin out a little bit, but now more and more some of the people running by are injured, and then you begin to notice that the people coming by you are well armored and carrying crossbows, and they will look at you and they'll just say, "Run, run," as they run by. And when you look up and you're kind of trying to see what's going on here, you see a carriage come zooming in, and you see crossbolts being fired off of the carriage towards this. It must be a 2-story tall animated skeleton that is just bursting through the gate and knocking things over as it's walking through everything. And the cart comes by, and clearly the cart is very very royal, and it's surrounded by guards on horse, and along with this large skeleton that's just knocking shit over, are not hordes, but quite a few fast-moving ghouls and zombies of the like undead that are coming in, slashing at people, gnawing on people, and just causing absolute pandemonium.
Okay, so I'm assuming, are we within 100 feet? Because that's going to set off I have a feeling that's going to set off the staff and lift them flat.
Yeah, these guys aren't. You would know they're not spiritual creatures. They're
Okay.
real.
They're
Yeah.
undead.
Yep, they're just undead. Yep.
Okay.
Just the dead.
Yeah, don't worry. They're just
Just the dead.
they'll just physically tear your body away from your soul. They won't consume your soul or anything.
Okay.
Yep.
So I guess next time we roll initiative.
You got it.